I think all of us have asked this question. Why is it that pick me women are never picked? Why is it that people that make male the center of their attention and that is what supposedly men want? Why is it that those men don't pick these pick me women that makes male centered, made wants, made needs their personality? Let's take Pelitins as a classic example. She claims women lose their prime, women lose their value from age 18 to 22. She claims you are worthless as a woman if you don't have a child before 22 years. She claims you are worthless as a woman if you are not married. And the hypocrisy of it all, Pearl Davis is all of those things that she is against. She is unmarried, she's without child, she is almost 30 years, I think she's 29, which was a shock to me. I thought she was more than that, that's by the way. And my favorite part, she is always claiming that she's anti-feminist. But it's because of feminists that she's able to have the platform that she has to be spewing all the conspiracy and all the rhetoric and denigration that she has towards women. I am pointing all of this out to show you that these women that claims to be traditional women, these pick-me women, most of them are not actually the traditional women. Because if you are to go about the traditional norms or whatever, she shouldn't have the platform that she has. If not because of feminists, she should not even have the voice to tell women what they should and shouldn't do. If we should go by traditional, Pearl Davis should be married with children. But she's none of those things. So when people ask why these pick-me women are not being picked, it's because if we as women can see these women, we can see their hypocrisy, we can see that these women are none of these things that they said women should be, men as well can see. They can see through their performance, they can see through their lies, they can see through their hypocrisy. And also, let's not forget that men don't actually want traditional women, regardless of what they say. They like the idea of traditional women, but they still want the woman to provide. They still want the woman to go 50-50 with them. But if you're a pick-me woman that truly wants to be picked, I have a very simple solution for you. Anyway, let's get into what people have to say about why pick-me women have never been picked.
By the way, men can tell when a woman is pick me. I was talking about this with my brother, and he plays chess and games, and he was like, we can always tell when a girl is only there because she wants male validation. It's the way she talks and the way she acts. And yeah, some men play into it, but best believe they all know and they all get the ick. And the minute anybody else shows up that isn't looking for male validation, they immediately ghost that girl.
I watched the Pearl Anna Kasparian debate, and it got me thinking, why hasn't Pearl gotten picked? If you look at her, she checks every box for what every red pill podcast bro man on the internet says he wants. And I know a lot of men have gone on this app and talked about why they're not picking Pearl, but I don't think they're giving you the entire reason why. The reason is because red pill men don't want compliance. Agreement doesn't create desire for them. Power imbalance does. That is why things like trapping someone that's youthful is attractive to them, because they feel that they have colonized something, for lack of a better word. Pearl already has money, a platform. They don't want a good woman. What they want is leverage. Their kink is not a woman who believes in their ideology. Their kink is that they are able to control a narrative. With Pearl, they don't have to do that. She already agrees. This is why there's also that narrative that a lot of conservative men like liberal, progressive women. And the reason is because they want the chase. They want to cage something. And on a more sinister high level for all women, they want all women just continuously chasing. That's why their ideology changes from time to time. Because chasing approval, in the case of women, when we chase approval, we are easier to manipulate.
Why do we never see pick-me's actually getting picked by good men? You would think that the strategy of casting a wide net and appealing to any and every man would get you the cream of the crop of the male population. But all we see them attracting is 8-month-long talking stages, situationships, and deadbeat husbands that clearly don't love and respect them that much. Not all women who end up in these situations are pick-me's, because it's very easy to get tricked into believing that a man has good intentions, when in reality, if his life was a movie, then the devil himself would stand up and clap proudly at his performance. Women who are incapable of decentering men aren't able to to actually bag a good man because they have a very juvenile idea of what makes a high value man, and they also see just being in a relationship with a man as an achievement that they can hold over other women, specifically single women. Pick-me's pedestalize men, so they're blind and often defending their morally evil behaviors, and when they're choosing partners, they focus on superficial attributes like height, how much money they're making, and the bare minimum amount of respect. Pick-me's live in a delusional reality and are constantly competing with other women, but cannot grasp the truth that nobody cares that you're in a relationship, and nobody's ever going to gain respect for you just because you have a boyfriend, even if he's 6'4". Because once they find out that your man is a misogynist, a gaslighter, a corn addict, and that his actions show that he barely tolerates you and actually doesn't love you at all, then you lose all of your aura points. Staying single until you meet a man that doesn't force you to settle for less than you deserve is way more of a flex than simply being in a relationship with someone who's tall or has money. Being single is not an illness to be treated or something to be looked down upon for, and if we started normalizing this idea more, then the bar for men would raise and there'd be much less toxic relationships. Okay, bye!
Do you know why Pearl is available? Because even though she says the right things that men resonate with, she's masculine. Feminine women do not go online and sit on podcasts and argue with men all day long. Why not pick her? Because we couldn't marry someone that's like that and argumentative and fighting.
Imagine being the biggest female voice of the red pill movement. You say things like women shouldn't be allowed to divorce their husbands, that men should demand a DNA test at the delivery of their children. You say things like women shouldn't be allowed to vote. You say things like you shouldn't believe all assault victims. You do everything that you can to throw women under the bus for the sake of looking good in front of men, and those men go online and say stuff like this. My theory on why pick-me women rarely get picked is because they don't present themselves to be much of a challenge. A man likes to feel like he's changing a woman's mind, like he's talked her into something. And if the woman's already coming in saying, I'm submissive to you, you're better than me and all that, it's not as much fun. They'd rather take a woman who is independent and try to make that woman submissive. They'd rather take a woman who is clearly materialistic and make that woman split bills with them. But they need somebody like her so they can be able to say, no, it's not just us. Look at this woman right here. She agrees with us. I heard somebody say once that men want a woman they can subjugate, but Pearl subjugates herself. And that's the truest thing I've ever heard.
Feminists are mainly white, middle-class female liberals who have no idea how the real world works and yet want to advise you on how to live in it.
Now, wait a damn minute. Isn't that what you try to do to young women, but without having any of the qualifications to back it up? I mean, why are you even talking about experiences that you've never had? You are a single, unmarried woman past her prime. Now, these are your words, remember. You've never experienced a marriage, let alone any significant relationship that'll qualify you to speak on married women, let alone feminists in general. Nothing about you is traditional. You don't look traditional, you certainly don't act traditional, and you make money very much unlike a traditional woman.
If a woman is raped, assaulted, or if she revokes consent after the fact, she has the power to get a man fired from his job, kicked out of school, or thrown in jail.
Now, how pick-me do you have to be to side with men who assault women? You cater every day to the very worst men who wouldn't spit on you if you were on fire. And I love how you posted this clip of your debate, if that's what you want to call it, with Anna Kasparian, because you think that this makes you look good. But you failed to post this clip.
What I'm curious about is whether or not the Pick Me Act ever resorted into anything positive for you. Are you just making things up? Pearl, what are you doing?
You were frozen. You were defeated in front of everyone. But what did you expect? You spend your time trying to debate unprepared and inexperienced 19-year-olds, but fall apart the moment that you are up against someone like Anna, who's able to drag you through the coals. Your stunned silence for me was golden.
I keep seeing the topic of why don't the pick me girls end up with the podcast bros conversation about why don't the girls who are desperate for attention and desperate for love end up with these men who want subservient women. And while I think maybe a very small subset, there is truth to everyone saying oh, those men want to challenge, those men want to break down women, all of that. I think that only accounts for a very, very small percent of the population of truly evil men. But the reality of the matter is that I think that there's much more men who are just very, very basic. And when we talk about those and why they don't end up with pick-me's, the answer is a little bit different. From a historical perspective, this is the first time ever that women are allowed to have needs in a relationship. And so many men still feel like it's reasonable to feel like they can find a relationship where nothing is expected of them and women don't have needs. To be a pick-me girl is to inherently be needy because you need the validation of that man to serve you and fulfill you. So while you initially come off as the cool girl who's down for anything super chill, you end up being the clingy girl who constantly needs attention and constantly needs validation. And so especially for these men who haven't gone to therapy or don't want to be emotionally vulnerable or don't want to be in an overly emotional relationship, which to them is a lot of labor because of course women are the ones who are typically doing the emotional labor, that to them sounds like an exhausting relationship. And so all these things that these pick-me girls do at the beginning that to a normal woman seem like a green flag for a man like this, they can kind of sense that energy and it repels them.
Red pill dudes don't want pick-me girls.
Yes, why do these boys claim that they want this housewife who's going to stay at home, raise the kids, just drop her whole life and wait on them hand and foot? And then when they're presented with that, they actually don't want anything to do with those pick-me girls? That creator absolutely nailed it. It's because that's not what they want at all, actually. These boys have dehumanized women and the act of dating so substantially that they've essentially turned it into almost like a giant video game, where they want to fight women who are the exact opposite of that into subservience. And it's the same thing as when they looked into what men actually meant when they said they wanted to date an intelligent woman, which was that they wanted to date a woman that was intelligent, yes, but always a little bit less intelligent than them, right? So that they were always kind of challenging them and whatnot, but usually not winning. It's the same reason that movie Poor Things, when you look it up on Google, is listed under comedy/fantasy, even though it was the most disturbing movie many of us had ever seen. It was directed by a man based off of a book written by a man, and it is being absolutely eaten up and loved by men right now. And I see this all the time when I'm dating, because if y'all know me, you know that I am stubborn, right? I love good witty banter, and I love researching and debating topics, of course. So I always attract these boys who are really interested in those things as well. And at the very beginning, that's always what they say they love about me, right? Like, I'm very goal-oriented. I know exactly what I want out of this life. I'm very independent. I'm upfront about it always. I love some friendly banter and debating and discussing topics. But then what happens is one of two things. I see them either get tired or grow exhausted of the fact that they're not like consistently winning all the, like they win some of our arguments and our banters, right? But they're not winning as many as they'd want. And suddenly all of this banter that was fun and flirty and exciting at the beginning is becoming boring and difficult, and it's all my problem, right? They want the women who can challenge them, but they can still put in their place at the end of the day. Or when the more serious topics come around, like marriage and children, and they want me like at home sat with the kids to abandon my life, I get like startled and upset out of nowhere when I'm like, yeah, I don't know if that's what I want for my life.
As much as men are always out here in the comment section of a pick-me women saying, protect her at all costs, that's a queen right there. See, a lot of y'all women need to think like her. Notice these women are typically single. For all the men who act like, this is the kind of woman I'm looking for, how come they never look her way? These women should have a line of men, a harem of men, if you will, begging, pleading, hoping to be with them, but that's never the case because they only use you as an example. They want to be able to show women, look, we're not crazy. Other women think like this. Look at this woman right here. That's all they use you for. When they're looking for a mate, they're looking for somebody that has some standards, that has some values, that has good self-esteem. They don't want those women. They step over those women. Excuse me, step over those women to get to the ones who are like, I don't really think so. I don't like that. I want a man to pay all the bills. I want a man to do these things. They want to make other women change their mind and be like, look, just be like her and I'll pick you. But we don't want to be picked. We're picking ourselves.
This one's for the pick-me girls out there. I have a story for you, and this literally just happened last night. Like, have the screenshots to prove it if you think that I'm lying. This happened last night. I went on 4 dates with this guy about a month ago, right? And the more I learned about him, the more I realized this is not a thing. I'm not interested in this. So I ended things. And over the past like 2.5 weeks or so since I broke up with him, he has been steadily trying to get me to continue to see him. And I keep telling him no. And so he text messages me yesterday and says, I know why you broke up with me. And I was like, good, because I told you why. And so he sends me screenshots of a post about him in his local Are We Dating the Same Guy group. And I was like, I don't know what this is. And he's like, you must have seen this and you thought that I was dating a bunch of other girls because there was a bunch of girls in the comment section. And that's why. I was like, it's not why, because I broke up with you 2 weeks ago and this post is only 5 days old. Also, way to tell on yourself. So I'm like, also, how did you get those screenshots? And he's like, oh, I suspected that there might have been something like that because I know you're in those groups. And so I had my friend Monica infiltrate the group. And so Monica's in so I go in and I look for the post, right? And she's in there in the comments arguing with girls, like calling them petty bitches and like all this other shit, right? So I take a screenshot of his text to me and I post it in the group, like, Monica's sending screenshots because it's way against the rules and she's going to get somebody hurt doing that. And so she gets banned. So he's FaceTiming me, blowing me up. We're on FaceTime. And he starts like giggling at his phone. I was like, what's funny? And he's like, Monica just texted me, oh, I guess they had enough of my shit and they banned me. And I was like, yeah, because I ratted her out. And he's like, you did? I was like, yeah. He's like, why would you do that? I said, because she's a pick-me and she's going to get somebody hurt. And he's like, she's my friend. Like, I can't just stop being friends with her. I was like, I don't give a shit if you be friends with her or not. I don't want to be with you. So like, who fucking cares? And I said, it doesn't really matter. Like, I don't want to be with you and I don't want to be around people like her. Like, that's dangerous and she's not a girl's girl and I don't want to be a part of it. He's like, she's one of my good friends. I'm like, okay, well, fine, continue to be good friends, right? I said, I just don't want to be around it. And he's like, well, if I end the friendship with her, would you continue to, like, go out with me? Would you get back with me? And I was like, girl, you did all that for what? You did all that for what? 4 dates, and he's already willing to drop your whole friendship with him as a good friend if it means that I'll give him a chance. Pick-me's never get picked. Stop doing it.
Can someone explain to me why the pick-me girls aren't like just naturally falling into the arms of these like whatever type podcast guys? Like,
oh, you mean all the toxic red pill guys that pick-me girls cater to? Yeah, they don't want them. They don't want a woman who's already ready to wait hand and foot on them and give them everything they want at any time, because that's not the person they're looking for. They want an independent woman who's much hotter than a pick-me girl, so they could break them down, manipulate them, gaslight them for years, and turn them into something that they want to do. They want to destroy an independent woman to make them a pick-me girl. So if you want some proof, take Pearl Davis from Just Pearly Things. She is the queen of the pick-me's.
I like ultra far right men. Like, almost extreme, doesn't really think women should vote. I think that's
leave marriage for the people that actually believe in, for better or for worse, for
But doesn't sanctity of marriage also rely on the woman being a virgin, so you wouldn't be able to get married?
What do you mean?
Girls want to sleep around in their 20s and then at 30 run to a man, and like, but you've lost the things that men value by the time you're 30. You're no longer pure, you're no longer youthful.
Pearl is single, unmarried, childless, well over 25, and according to her, remember, these are all her words. If you're over 25 and don't already have all these things, you have no value. Catering to the very toxic men that she wants, but will never want her back. If a pick-me like her is not going to get picked, then other pick-me's won't get picked.
Does Pearl know that she is a woman? Because for someone that is so against feminism, you really love reaping the benefits of feminism. Feminism is the reason why you're able to have a bank account without having to be married. Feminism is the reason why most women aren't viewed as just housewives. Feminism is the reason you are able to speak online today. It's the reason you're able to own a house. It's the reason why you're able to drive a car. You reap the benefits of feminism every single day. And then when you are given the choice to debate someone who feels so strongly about her own viewpoints, she didn't even need a mute button. You just naturally muted yourself. Now, did she yell and scream at you like what you said that she did? No, she did not. Someone challenging the way that you think is not arguing and screaming at you. That is kind of how debates work.
So here is a simple remedy for a pick-me woman that really wants to be picked. Just stop pretending not to be a pick-me. If that is truly in you, if truly you are a pick-me to a core, you can pretend not to be a pick-me and you will get picked. And then when you get picked, you can go back to be your true, original pick-me self. So this creator here said something about some of these men that want smart women, intelligent women, but they don't want you to be smarter than them. I can attest to that because I was dating this one guy. He was always, when we were starting out, he was always praising how I can own my conversation, how I'm well versed in a lot of discussion and topic. I think that was what even made me to be attracted to him. Only for that same thing that make him to be attracted to me, it becomes the issue. He now start claiming that I am Miss Know It All and all of that. So I've come to realize that when a man says he wants this, it's the opposite of that thing that he says that he wants. That is why you see this man that will see this woman that is clearly materialistic, the woman that loves taking care of herself, the woman that is very into her self-care. She loves to travel. She loves to do everything that makes her to be happy. She loves this flashy life. She can afford this flashy life for herself without any man. They will go out of their way to pursue these women. Then, if by whatever chance these women agree to go out with them and all of that, they will want to say, no, I don't like this kind of women. You go out too much. You are flashy. You are materialistic, and all of these things that they want to say. But there are pick-me women that will clearly want to stay indoor. They don't want to do anything, go out. They don't want to go girls trip and all of that. But they will never go for these women. Because one, men see women as something that they need to conquer. I feel like that is also one of the reasons pick-me women will never be picked. Because if you make yourself readily available to them, there is no fun in that. Oh, I need to clarify something. I don't mean that women that stay indoors are pick-me. That's not what I mean. You know, these women that will come online to say, oh, I don't like going out. I love staying indoor. Going out is bad for you as a woman. Those are the kind of women that I'm talking about. Those ones that feel like if you're a woman that you go to a girl trip, if you're a woman that you love going to bar, restaurants, you love going to places to enjoy yourself, they will see that as a woman you cannot or you shouldn't do that. Those are the pick-me that I'm talking about. Anyway, let me know what you think about this video. Share your thoughts and opinion. If you have different perspective or why this pick-me had never been picked, drop it down in the comment section and I'll talk to you in my next video. Bye.